Welcome back to Talk Jamaica here on Talk Jamaica Radio. My name is Ralston Chamberlain, and my co host this afternoon is Ricardo Brooks. Pearnel Charles serves the people of Jamaica as a senator and the Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security. Mr. Charles has specific responsibility for the Department of Correctional Services, Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, and other projects within the national security portfolio. Last month, Pearnel Charles said his ministry intends to restructure, expand, and re energize the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force to increase its effectiveness. Speaking of a recent training session of the JCCF 1st Battalion, Minister Charles emphasized for too long, the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force has been Jamaica's best kept secret, reiterating that in our efforts to advance youth empowerment as a tool for their respective schools crime prevention, we will be preparing cadets to serve as ambassadors in their respective schools and communities, where they will encourage their peers to be disciplined and to engage in non-violent conflict resolution. We're joined this afternoon to talk about matters of crime strategy and prevention by the junior minister in the Ministry of National Security, Pearnel Charles Jr. Good afternoon, Mr. Charles. Welcome. We appreciate it.
Afternoon, welcome to you and your listeners.
All right, let us start, Minister Charles, with the issue of crime that is grappling the nation. What can you tell us this afternoon of what the government plans to do, or in addition to what has been announced, how do we get this crime issue under control?
Well, what I can tell you first and foremost is that the crime issue is an issue that touches and concerns all of us. And so we've been very careful as much as possible to make this a national issue, not a political issue. There has been a lot of communication via the newspapers and the news and otherwise. It has set out in some intricate details the various steps that we intend to take and those that have already been taken to curb the immediate issues that we see in Montego Bay and to set a course for the national security strategy that we have across the country.
Mm-hmm.
What it is basically a very delicate balance between maintaining law and order while respecting the rights and the freedoms of our citizens. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at a lot of aspects which in general can be defined as a matter of social reform and the use of systematic programs and activities to redefine the thinking of our community, and also the implementation of a lot of technology that we hope will assist us in cauterizing the murders, as well as setting and charting a course for order and structure to come. That will not only impact national security, but I dare say it should have a domino effect across all of the ministries. Yeah, so you see, we have an immediate problem in the recent times where we've had some flare up in Montego Bay, particularly linked to the lotto scamming issues. And despite the fact, and I've heard many persons say that, it's a lot of criminals killing criminals, but it's still our citizens, and it still creates a perception and a reality of fear. And so we have, in a very pointed way, made it clear that there will be a focus and an attention. Not that there will be anything so much so that it detracts from the systematic protection that we have to provide across the country. But there has been some focus on the Montego Bay, St. James area, with regards to the joint military forces that we have had there and the numerous operations which I'm happy to say have had some impact thus far in cauterizing the issues. Nevertheless, you'd have seen today where we had a brutal murder in St. Catherine, where 5 persons, including 4 kids, were killed. And so it really reiterates the issue that this is an island-wide matter that concerns each and every one of us. And so it is going to need more than just a short-term restructuring or reallocation of resources. And so the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, myself, and all of the other stakeholders have recognized that. And so there will be a national strategy, which is much more than just a short-term strategy, which will seek to, as I said, utilize a more structured, innovative mechanism, which we hope and we intend to have an impact across the country to make it much harder for criminals to be able to maneuver throughout Jamaica, and to make it much easier and much more effective for us to gather the kind of accurate, genuine evidence that we need, put these criminals behind the bars, and also to cause there to be a culture of deterrence, that when somebody believes that they want to take a particular action, they will be confident that they're going to be caught and confident that there will be a consequence of their actions.
Mhm. Minister, like you, we on this program are saddened by the incident that took place in Spanish Town this morning, and especially that four children were killed. But, Minister, what does your government say to the ordinary man who is looking on and say that they are not content with just all this talk? They want to see action now. They want to see results.
But let me tell you, I go to bed and I wake up every morning with more than just the reports, but with the very intimate knowledge of what is taking place, more than you would imagine. And so I don't think there's anybody more than us who would love for this issue to not just be cauterized but eradicated. And we understand that talk is cheap.
Mhm.
And so part of what we have to do is to recognize the various mechanisms that make up and complement the national security apparatus. As we are not out there on the ground, and so we are the ones leading in the aspect of policy and direction. And so more than anything, what we can do and what we are doing is to restructure and to put forward a kind of policy agenda, and to motivate the persons that are within our reach in such a way, and to be active leaders, so much so that it will cause for the security personnel to, one, get the necessary resources to be effective, and two, be motivated to get out there and to bring the fight to these criminals. And it takes a number of things for us to do that. As I said, we have done a full assessment of the legislation, a full assessment of the policies, and you will see in short order amendments and new legislation put forward that will, we intend, make it a much easier environment. Well, let's not use the word easier. A more effective environment for policing, and one that will cause persons to be very clear, whether it be through the Road Traffic Act or the Shared Forfeiture of Property Act, for persons to be clear that there are going to be consequences to their actions. Because in Jamaica, what we have found is criminality, even if it is between gangs and criminals killing each other, it prevails because people believe that they can get away with it. And so our focus is on creating the kind of environment where persons will be confident that if they take an action, they will be caught. And we have also looked on the mapping of Jamaica, and we understand that we have to protect our borders because these majority of our killings are taking place with the use of firearms. And so if we can attack from the aspect of reducing the availability of guns, then that would be one of the major ways in which we can deal with the ultimate murder problem that we have. And so we are already on train and have already done some of the necessary assessments with regards to strengthening and expanding our border control. And with border control, you will also see that it's going to be necessary for us to control our roads. And where we know we have limited resources and limited human resources, that is where I say to you that the technology will have to come in. And so you would have heard the Honorable Minister Montague speak about the integration of the CCTV, where we will be also giving the private sector an opportunity to play a part in protecting the integrity of our country's CCTV system by using their IP protocol, that we can have access to the videos that they may have privately, but that are looking at public spaces. So it will expand the vision of the central assessment operating office. So we'll be able to have a greater eye across the roads and a greater eye across the country. As I said, besides that, there are a number of other things that we're doing. We're also looking on the correctionals, where we are looking to have some greater rehabilitation activities, which we hope will lead to not just rehabilitation, but rehabilitation which is very purposeful, so that when these individuals leave from our custody, and they are properly reintegrated into the society and not reintegrated into gang activity. And as you said earlier in your preamble, another serious aspect of it is the aspect of our youth, and getting our youth involved in the creation of safe communities. And so we are focusing a lot on the cadets and making them cadet ambassadors, so they become the messengers for the Ministry of National Security to get out there and to get into their communities and to let their friends and their peers and their family members and their neighbors understand the importance of downloading the Stay Alert app, for instance, which can be used as your own personal bodyguard. And for all of your listeners that are listening to us right now, I would say to you, I urge you to go to your Google Play Store and to download the Stay Alert app. That application has within it the facility for you to take audio, video. It gives you some information regarding the laws of Jamaica. It also gives you access to a panic button. So once your GPS locator is on, if you find yourself in any difficulty on the road, you press it and the police will be able to identify where you are and hopefully to give you assistance in a timely manner. And so all of those things, as I said to you, really are demonstrating the administration's effort to bring our people and our communities into the national security strategy. So all of us together can play our part in making Jamaica a place that is safer and more prosperous.
Minister, let me ask you. I imagine that a part of this crime fighting thrust would be to reach out to the opposition. How difficult has that been in the context of comments the Prime Minister would have made on the campaign trail, which suggested that people would have been safer was the JLP elected to government?
Well, it hasn't been an issue of sorts. I've had, at least in my own personal experience, at least 2 or 3 events in which the opposition has been integral and we've been able to work together. And we intend to continue to work together with the opposition. There are numerous committees of Parliament of which the opposition chairs. And so across the ministries, not just the Ministry of National Security, the opposition plays an integral part in governance in our country, and as always. And there will be no resistance on our part in having them play their role. We have always said, and they have always said, that Jamaica requires a strong opposition so that governance itself can be refined and focused on achieving its objectives. And we have to remember, listen, the crime problem is it's decades old. And so we have to be cognizant that though we are all thirsty for immediate solutions, if we are going to have a sustainable reduction in crime and violence in our country, it is going to take collaboration, not just with the opposition, but across ministries, across all of the various sectors. And it is going to call for persons to understand that it is more advantageous to all of us to play a positive role than simply to be criticizers. Constructive criticism is essential, but simple criticism of its own will not serve our purpose. So we need to be very clear on that, and I've been clear. I use my Facebook as a means of allowing persons to log on and to give me so many recommendations. And I must say thank you so much to my Facebook followers. They go on, you can like the Facebook Honorable Pearnel Charles, and send messages to my team. And I must tell you, we have had several messages, and some of those messages which we have gotten from Jamaicans across the communities and overseas in the diaspora have formed part of the discussion and the deliberations in as far as the National Security Council. Because I can take them, I can formulate them, and I can use them as examples of how Jamaicans can play their role, even in your room, using your computer.
Mhm. I want to come back, if I could, Minister, to that comment that was made on the political platform by then leader of the opposition, who is now the Prime Minister, because he did say that if that persons would be able to be safe if they did not vote in the PMP. As I go across social media, Minister, I see people oftentimes bringing up back that comment. And it seems to me that many are indeed hurt about it. Agree with me, if you will, Junior Minister, that that was a most unfortunate comment in retrospect. And agree with me, if you will, that no other person than the Prime Minister himself now should retract that statement and apologize for it. Because it you have said that crime is not a political issue. And so we have to. And I think that call ought to be that the Prime Minister himself should retract that statement. Will you agree with me?
Well, let me first tell you this. I didn't say crime is not a political issue. I
Mm-hmm.
said that the issues that we've had in recent times are so important that we have sought not to politicize them, and they have taken a national approach. Crime is a national issue, but it is
Mm-hmm.
also a political issue. It is an issue because you have to determine who you believe is best fit to treat with crime. And that will be determined based on the examination of what kind of policies, what kind of actions they're taking, and the kind of leadership they're providing. So if you look on the serious and violent crimes category from January to October of this year, serious and violent crime is down in Jamaica as opposed to last year by more than 200 numbers. I think it was 2,819 up to last year, and it's 2,574 up to date for this year. And there have been five more murders based on the statistics. If you compare last year to this year, so if you look on the comparison, a comparative analysis will show you that it is not so much so that things are worse or better, but that what we have is a developing crime problem which has consistently developed over year after year. And what we have been able to do, and what we will continue to do, is to put forward the kind of strategy that will build a foundation so that in the years to come, you will not see a 1% jump and a 2% decline, but you will see a sustainable reduction in crime. And I can tell you that the Prime Minister has played an integral and an active role in putting together the strategy. And within this week, you should see, well, let me not say this week, within short order, you will hear of some programs coming out, which I believe will inure to the benefit of all of us as Jamaicans, because it really evaluates and considers all of the various elements of what causes crime and what will impact in a positive way to reduce crime. With regards to the Prime Minister's statement when he was on the campaign trail, I believe that that's his opinion. I mean, I don't know the exact words that were used, and I take it that what you said is accurate. And I hope, I must tell you, that he's correct. And I believe that he will be proven to be correct.
Minister, with
I
the
just
greatest,
I just don't
just
choose.
a minute, Minister. Are you saying to us then, Minister, that the Prime Minister is saying to that family in Spanish Town that they would have been able to leave their doors open, Minister? I think what I'm trying to
No,
get at, Minister, is
what
that
I'm saying
it's an
to you, what I'm
unfortunate
saying to you,
statement.
what I'm
Am I hearing you say that he was correct in making the
what
statement?
I'm what I'm saying to you, my friend, is this: you trying to cause me to analyze the Prime
No, I'm
Minister's
not.
statement he made in a
No,
campaign
Minister,
trail
I'm saying that
is
you
unfortunate
by
in itself.
admission
I
say
am
it's
focused on developing the kind of Jamaica that we can be proud of. The Prime Minister is focused on that. And I dare say the opposition leader is focused on that.
right,
If I were
right.
to pinpoint every single aspect of a comment made by the opposition leader, we could banter back and forth as to what was unfortunate and what was fortunate.
Uh,
As a minister now, I do not have the latitude to go back 8 months or 9 months to
yeah.
analyze what was said. My focus is on protecting our people. Today we had 5 persons killed by thugs,
Right.
four of
And
whom
so,
were
Minister, in
children.
protecting our people,
And
we
I do not
cannot
think
say
they
that
were
the
killed because
statement
of a
was correct.
statement or of a non-statement. I think why they were killed is because we have a culture that has developed in our country of gang violence. We
Absolutely.
have a culture of domestic violence. And we have not been
Absolutely.
effective enough as a system in creating the kind of response and proactive mechanisms that will cauterize that. That's what I'm focused on. As I said to you before, my personal opinion is that I don't have time to politicize national security, and I
Right.
do not think that anybody can disagree with that. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't choose. I understand that you want me to go into it, but I don't choose to utilize my time to go back there. I want to move forward. I want to talk about the strategy that we're putting forward, and I want to get persons involved. That's why I've spoken to you about the Stairlight Up. That's why I
Right.
speak to you about how I'm getting the cadets involved. And that is why we are trying to create safer communities with all hands on deck. Opposition, the private sector, the diaspora, all hands on deck. All right?
All right, let me just see. Time is up on us, Minister. And I just want to say, how do we now, moving forward, get everyone on board to recognize that this issue of crime is not only government and opposition, but it's everybody, community, and all the stakeholders working together. How we now get that message out to them?
Well, it has to be done through, we have to build confidence in our actions and not just by words spoken. And so we have to strengthen the trust between our people and the security forces. That is one of the major aspects of what needs to be done. And as politicians, we have to show through the kinds of policies and legislation that we're putting forward that we are being innovative and that we are thinking. And we have to show that we are utilizing resources and the budget that is given to us in a way that is effective. And so that is why I've said to you that there are particular areas that we are focusing on. And we recognize that over the years, this is not about PNP years or JLP years. This is Jamaica. Over the years, a lot of the actions have caused there to be distance between the people and the system. And so it's going to take us some time to rebuild the confidence. It's going to take us a lot of energy, and focus has to be on building the trust through programs in in the various communities through neighborhood watch, through cadets, through Boy Scouts, through having town hall meetings, going out there and speaking to people, and also making sure that we're putting forward the necessary resources and training to the security forces and to our police in particular. So when they interact with our citizens, they can understand the need to maintain law and order, be tough when they have to be tough, but you must have as paramount concern the rights and the freedom and just the downright respect for our Jamaican people. That balance will build trust, will build confidence, and with time, all hands will naturally be on deck.
Minister, we on this program join you in those proposals and we look forward to see them. Can we thank you for having joined us this afternoon? Really appreciate it.
And I thank you. Continue to spread the positive message. All the best to you and your listeners.
All right, listeners, you heard him there. He's the junior minister in the Ministry of National Security, Pearnel Charles Jr., sharing with us the plans of the government in regards to stemming the issue of crime in Jamaica that is spiraling out of control. And we in this program, as I've often say, we want to see uh, a stop to this crime issue. We want to see that no one is killed in our nation.